Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds. So this is where I like to collect together all the albums that I've purchased over the past week and present it to you. And I get them from different places like my local record store, but also online retail like Amazon, eBay, and more. I've got 12 CDs and one record to run through with you, and we're going to do that here in just a bit. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, if you turn on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on really cool episodes like this with New Music Finds. So as always, I like to kick off with brand new releases from this past Friday, March 24th. I got three things, one of them being a pretty big one for me at least, the brand new Depeche Mode album, and it is called Memento Mori. For some reason I keep reversing this, that's why I had to look at the cover real quick on it. But brand new album, first one without Andrew Fletcher, who unfortunately passed away. I think it was back in 2021. But they kind of do a cool thing on the inside of the album here. We've got Dave Gahan there, and we've got Martin Gore, and when we open it up more, again, Dave Gahan and Martin Gore, but they leave this blank spot here where they call out their friend Andrew Fletcher, and I thought that was kind of a cool way to send a little tribute to him, and also just felt like the album cover was that way in sort of response as well. I got the angel wings with flowers and things that you typically see at a funeral. The album as a whole is pretty good, I have to say. It's growing on me a lot. The first couple singles that came off of it had a decidedly 80s vibe to it, which I liked. I was glad to see them pulling a little bit of that back into it. But as a lot of their later releases have been, this is a pretty somber release as a whole. There's a couple more upbeat tracks and things that are on it. But as a whole, hasn't really grabbed me just yet, but it's growing on me, and I hope with a few more listens on it, I'll really have dug deep into it and so forth at that point. But good album nonetheless. If you are a Depeche Mode fan, I do recommend it. I think it's one of the stronger ones. In fact, I like it better than the last couple ones, so that's got that going for it. All right, another big thing that came out was the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon 50th Anniversary Edition box set, and I decided not to pick up the box set, but one of the bonus content items that was in the box set got released as a standalone disc, and it's the Dark Side of the Moon live album. So it's the 10 tracks in order, same as the album itself, but released as a standalone disc here. And so that was kind of cool. I've got this from the Immersion box set, so that is included. It's a London 1974 recording. And so if you got that box, you don't really need it, but that was just a single CD. It didn't have a sleeve, anything like that. And I really like the artwork that they chose for this here. I just thought that did a very nice job on it. The book's really cool that's in here. So the music's not any different. I already have it, that sort of a thing, but it's now a standalone thing, and I can include it with all of my releases on the wall, and I just really dig that. Okay, and the other thing that I picked up that was new was the brand new Saxon album called More Inspirations. This being a covers album, second one in fact that they've done. First one also called Inspirations. And that first one really did not do it for me. I did not like it. I just don't think they selected the right songs that do a band of their sort of clout, and they're from the new wave of British heavy metal and kind of what you'd expect and so forth. I don't think they really chose the right songs that represent that. Now I understand it's Inspirations, and then unfortunately kind of the same thing on this here. I looked at the track listing on here before listening to it, and I thought up front, okay, I'm going to like these tracks a lot better, but just didn't do it for me. I don't know if it's just I'm used to what they are as a band today, and then you hear these songs and it just doesn't represent that. But that's just my take on it. Doesn't mean it's not good. I do recommend it if you're interested to check it out before picking it up. But there you go. There's some new Saxon to tide you over, because it is supposed to be 1 year until we get the next new studio album of all original material from them. Okay, and then you had seen from the New Music Now episode that I did, I'd been out to a local record store, Factory Records, and always good time visiting them. I like to go late on Saturday nights, and that's just kind of my fun thing to do. And this particular time I found some CDs. I'm usually picking up records from them, and I found 5 CDs to show you here. So Tim Feehan, still not sure where I know him from, Canadian artist. Full Contact is the name of the album. And this came out in 1990, and it's just some really good AOR melodic rock type stuff. A little bit on that vein of the soft rock, yacht rock stuff that I've been talking about lately, but definitely more in the AOR melodic rock. Really, really good though. If you're looking for something new and you want to check, that sounds interesting to you, I recommend this. Definitely if I see more from him, I'll be picking it up. And then on that idea of the yacht rock that I was talking about, England Dan and John Ford Coley. Greatest hits of theirs, a best of as it's called here. And I talked about this a bit before. I'm kind of new to this world and don't really know any of the songs off here, but I enjoyed what I heard. It all actually came down to the fact that I kept seeing that on vinyl at record shows and stuff. And so when I saw it on CD, I thought, let me give this a listen, let me check it out, and liked what I heard, so I went ahead and picked it up. But that kind of created a springboard into other things, and then finding out that I've got other soft rock, yacht rock groups like Steely Dan and stuff already in my collection that I never really considered as such, but turns out, you know, I have some of it, so I needed to explore some more. I also picked up Marshall Tucker Band, Still Smokin', good album of theirs from 1992. And then I've got, I guess, you know, 80s rock or alternative rock band called the Wooden Tops. And this one here is Wooden Footcops on the Highway. Second, I believe it's their second studio album. I think they might have only made two, I'm not sure. But I had a vinyl record, and I think it was the debut album of theirs, and it just led me to checking that out. So that one's there, needs some more time for me to dive into it, but I haven't really been into the whole alternative rock thing at the moment. So I've listened to it, I dig it, I'm going to put it aside, and then when I need something more in that vein, I'll dig deeper into it. One of the ones that I picked up that I really enjoyed, and I got it wrong when I mentioned it last time, the group Manila Road, and I called them a new wave of British heavy metal band, but in fact, they're from the US, and I think they're from Kansas, someone said. Crystal Logic, this is their 1983 studio album, and some people had commented and said that, oh yes, it's very hard to find, and others said no, it's not. All I know is I don't see Manila Road very often, and when I do see it, it's usually very expensive. And at least here in the US, I think most of their stuff has been out of print for a long time, or it's in and out of print so often that you don't always know, you know. So at least when I found this, it was worth picking up, and I think it was $3 or something, $5. I mean, it wasn't very much that I paid for it to get it. So I got it at a good deal, and it's sort of my gateway into it. I've enjoyed what I've heard, and I'm definitely going to be checking out some more. And I understand that the album itself is currently in print with a 40th anniversary edition of it having just been released. But despite that, I've not noticed that or seen other ones in print in the past. So when I saw this, I thought, you know, I'll give it a shot. And I'm glad that I did, because definitely enjoying it. So even though they're not from the new wave of British heavy metal, they very much sound like they're part of that. And that was the thing that grabbed me. I think that was just, I was listening to it and I thought for sure that's what it was. But anyway, it's not. So I wanted to make that correction here. Okay, and then I did pick up one record, David Byron, former Uriah Heep singer, and this one here called Take No Prisoners. And somebody mentioned that he did 2 solo albums and put out 2 under the David Byron band name. So 4 solo albums in all. And I wasn't too sure when I mentioned that before, because I had just gotten home. I hadn't had a chance to look at it yet. But Mercury Records release here from 1976, still sealed. I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to be opening it, but I was really excited to get that. Only cost $6.95, so that was a really good deal. And then aside from that, as I was getting into a little bit more of the soft rock, yacht rock sound, and you saw it in last week's New Music Finds, I'd picked up Christopher Cross and Little River Band Greatest Hits. So those were newer ones. Those were like definitive collections and very best ofs and stuff like that. And sometimes those are great, and sometimes I really want to get ones that are more from the era. And so that's what I did here. I decided to pick up this one here of Christopher Cross. It's called a best of, but subtitled Ride Like the Wind. And it's got 12 tracks, so it doesn't have as many songs on it, but it had, I don't know, 5 or 6 or so tracks that were not on the definitive collection that I had picked up, and that kind of intrigued me. And it also the way some of those newer ones do. They'll put the biggest hits right at the top, and I kind of like it when they're spread out a bit more in there and I'm getting other songs. And so this one does it. It does kick off with Red Like the Wind, but his other big hit, Sailing, is track number 7. So you don't get that so quick, because it's not a particular favorite of mine. It's a song that's growing on me, but it wasn't the reason that I picked this up. I picked it up for Ride Like the Wind, and I wanted to hear other stuff before I hear that song that is so ubiquitous. So picked that up. That's the reason for doing that, at least. And then I picked up Little River Band Greatest Hits, their original one. And this one here, only 12 tracks, and I think a lot of them do repeat on that very best of that I picked up. But sometimes it comes down to the fact that this album cover is very recognizable to me. It's something that I grew up with, not knowing who the band was or whatnot, but this album cover. And so even though a lot of these songs, if not most of them, appear on that collection there, I really wanted to go back and check this out here. And I think this came out around 1983 or something like that. So again, came out while they were still, big, and everything and stuff. So it was just one of those things that showed a representation of that, as opposed to sort of when people look back at a band and they put these definitive collections together and stuff. So I decided to pick these two things up and enjoy those. And then I did pick up the only Little River Band album that's in print, at least one that I could get easily. And it's one of those Japanese Universal Records reissues. So their 1979 album that's called First Under the Wire. And it had the song that I knew, Lonesome Loser, on it, that it was the reason I was digging into them in the first place. So it happened to be the album that it comes from, which made me want to check out the entire album. All right, and the last thing that I picked up is something that I've had on order for a while, and it just took months and months to finally get it. Fleet Street reissue on Bad Reputation Records, and I love that label, but it's always so hard to get their stuff when it gets released. I think maybe it's a European label and it's a harder time for us to get it here in the States. In fact, in the end of the day, it turned out that it was easier for me to order a UK copy of it and have it sent, and I think it was the same price or less. So I got tired of waiting for the US to get their edition and send it to me. So instead I ended up doing that. But Canadian band, I think this is their third studio album from 80 or 81. And I have one of the later era albums from them that I really, really enjoy. And this one here, I have to say, doesn't really sound like that. The vocals on this are much more gruff. So I don't know if it's a different vocalist or not. I got to look into them a little bit more and see why. The later era Fleet album that I have, In the Red, I think is what it's called, also released by Bad Reputation Records. And so that one I was just head over heels for. So when I saw this one was getting released, I went ahead and just pre-ordered it. And then this one just has not clicked with me yet. But I never get rid of these things. I put them on the shelf. And who knows down the road what I'll be in the mood for and so forth. But I'll be able to pull it out at that time. And that's kind of, the case. It's, the Saxon hadn't clicked with me yet. And this hasn't clicked with me just yet. And I haven't opened this one up. And then what else? There's the Wooden Tops, right? So there's a few things in here. I do listen to them. I do not get something without listening to it. It never goes on the shelf without giving it a listen first. But if it doesn't click with me, that's okay. I just kind of make a mental note that it's there and I can come back to it. Because, there's always weeks that go by where not as much stuff comes out, or I don't get as much in the mail as I get sometimes. So there you go, 12 CDs and 1 record. This is what I picked up in the past week. Hopefully got some good ideas out of it, and maybe some things to go check out yourself. Let me know what you picked up over the course of the past week. What's your favorite item? Otherwise, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.